She lost her job for helping a stranger, but he was an undercover billionaire who gave her love. The pink slip was still warm in Sarah's hands when she realized the man she just risked everything to help wasn't who he said he was. "You're fired." Mr. Blackwood's words were still echoing in her head. 3 years of perfect reviews at the Grand Plaza Hotel, 3 years of working overtime to pay for Lily's daycare, and it was over because she'd helped a guest who wasn't supposed to be helped. Before we dive into this incredible story, I'd love to know where you're watching from and what time it is over there. Drop it in the comments below. It always amazes me how far these stories travel, from the US to Canada, the UK, Africa, and beyond. And while you're here, don't forget to hit subscribe and give this video a like so you won't miss the next story. Now let's get started. She looked down at the man lying on the cold floor of the hotel lobby, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead where the attackers had hit him. His navy suit was expensive, his watch probably cost more than she made in a year, but his eyes, there was something about his eyes that made her heart race. "Are you okay?" she whispered, kneeling beside him even though she knew the security cameras were watching. Even though she knew Mr. Blackwood was probably already calling her replacement. The man tried to sit up, wincing. "You shouldn't have done that," he said quietly. "You shouldn't have helped me." What was I supposed to do? Let them kill you? That's exactly what it had looked like. 3 men in dark suits had cornered this stranger in the lobby, demanding something about payments and deadlines and what happens to people who don't cooperate. When they started hitting him, Sarah had done the only thing she could think of. She'd screamed for security and thrown herself between them and him. The attackers had run when hotel security finally showed up, but the damage was done. Mr. Blackwood said she'd interfered with hotel operations and created a security incident. What he really meant was that she was just a concierge who should have minded her own business. "What's your name?" the man asked, his voice rough but gentle. "Sarah. Sarah Mitchell." She helped him sit up against one of the fancy pillars, her hands shaking. "And I just lost my job for saving your life, so I hope you're worth it." He looked at her like she just punched him in the gut. "Sarah, don't. Whatever you're about to say, just don't. I've got a 4-year-old daughter and no job and about $30 to my name. I don't need your guilt on top of everything else." But he wasn't looking at her with guilt. He was looking at her like she was the most important person he'd ever seen. "My name is Michael," he said softly. "Michael Thompson. And Sarah, I need to tell you something that's going to sound crazy." She was gathering up her things from the concierge desk, trying not to cry in front of him. "Look, Michael, I'm sure you're a nice guy, but I need to figure out how to tell my daughter that mommy lost another job because she can't keep her mouth shut." "Sarah, wait." He reached into his jacket and pulled out something that made her stop breathing. A business card. Heavy, cream-colored, with gold lettering. But it wasn't the fancy card that made her world tilt. It was the name on it. Michael Thompson, Chief Executive Officer, Thompson Industries. She'd seen that name on buildings around the city. Thompson Industries owned half the office towers downtown, including the hotel she'd just been fired from. "You're him," she whispered. "You're the Thompson Industries guy." "I am." His voice was so quiet she almost couldn't hear it. "And Sarah, those men who were attacking me? They weren't trying to rob me. They were trying to kill me." The lobby started spinning around her. She'd just saved the life of a billionaire, and now she was unemployed because of it. "Why were you here? In your own hotel lobby?" Michael's face went dark. "Because someone I trusted told me to meet them here. Someone who said they had information about illegal activities in my company. Instead, they set me up to be murdered." "What kind of illegal activities?" "The kind that destroys lives. Sarah, my company has been used to move money and people for a trafficking network. Children, mostly. And when I found out and tried to stop it..." He touched the cut on his head. "This happened." Sarah stared at him. This morning she'd been worried about making rent. Now she was in the middle of some kind of corporate conspiracy involving child trafficking. "I don't understand any of this," You don't have to understand it. All you need to know is that you saved my life today, and the people who tried to kill me won't stop just because they failed once. Michael stood up slowly, straightening his torn jacket. Even beaten up and bloody, he moved like someone who was used to being the most powerful person in any room. "Sarah Mitchell," he said, and the way he said her name made her stomach flip. "I know this is going to sound insane, but I need you to come with me. Right now." "Come with you where?" "Somewhere safe. Those men will be back, and when they come, they'll want to eliminate any witnesses to what happened here." "Witnesses? I didn't see anything except you getting beat up." "You saw their faces. You can identify them. That makes you a liability." Sarah looked around the hotel lobby that had been her workplace for 3 years. At the security desk where she'd never sit again. At the guests checking in who had no idea they just witnessed an attempted murder. "I can't just disappear with you. I don't even know you. And I have Lily to think about." "Where is Lily right now?" "Daycare. But they close at 6, and if I don't pick her up." "Sarah." Michael's voice was urgent now. "It's 5:30, and I just saw 2 of the men who attacked me walk into the daycare center across the street." Sarah's blood turned to ice. She looked out the window and saw them, the same men who'd been hitting Michael, now walking into Little Star's daycare where her daughter was playing with blocks and learning her letters and trusting that mommy would always keep her safe. They're going after Lily? They're going after anyone who can connect them to what happened here. "Sarah, we have about 5 minutes before they realize she's your daughter and decide she's a problem that needs to be solved." Sarah felt everything she thought she knew about the world crumble around her. She'd helped a stranger, lost her job, and now her 4-year-old daughter was in danger because of it. "What do we do?" Michael was already moving toward the door. "We get Lily and then we run." "And Sarah?" "Yeah. I promise you, I will never let anyone hurt you or your daughter. Not as long as I'm breathing." As they ran across the street toward the daycare, Sarah realized she was about to find out if fairy tales could happen to people like her, or if helping the wrong person had just put her daughter's life at risk. Have you ever helped someone and had it completely change your life? Sometimes doing the right thing is the most dangerous thing you can do. Share in the comments about a time when helping a stranger led to unexpected consequences. Sarah's beat-up Honda sat in the daycare parking lot like a rusty confession of everything she couldn't afford. She'd been making payments on it for 3 years, and it still made weird noises when she turned left. But it ran, and right now, that's all that mattered. "Mama!" Lily came running out of Little Star's daycare with her backpack bouncing and her curls flying everywhere. "Look what I made." She held up a drawing of what might have been a house or maybe a dinosaur. "With Lily's artwork, you never could tell." "That's beautiful, baby." Sarah scooped her up, trying to keep her voice normal even though her heart was beating so fast she thought it might explode. "We need to go on a little adventure today." "What kind of adventure?" Sarah looked around the parking lot. The 2 men in dark suits were nowhere to be seen, but that didn't mean they weren't watching. Michael appeared beside their car like he'd been waiting there all along. Which maybe he had. "Lily," Sarah said carefully, "this is my friend Michael. He's going to come on our adventure with us." Lily studied Michael with the serious expression she used for everything important. "Are you Mama's boyfriend?" "I'm..." Michael looked at Sarah helplessly. "I'm someone who wants to keep you and your mama safe." "From what?" Kids always ask the hardest questions. "From some people who aren't very nice," Sarah said. "But it's going to be okay, because we're going to go somewhere they can't find us." Lily's face scrunched up with worry. "Are we going to live in the car again?" Sarah's cheeks burned. The 3 months last year when they'd lived in this same Honda because she'd lost her job at the department store and couldn't make rent. Michael pretended he hadn't heard, but she saw something change in his expression. Something that looked like understanding. "No, baby. We're not going to live in the car. Michael has a place where we can stay." "Does it have a kitchen?" "I'm hungry and all we have are crackers." Sarah wanted to disappear. Here she was, talking to a billionaire about her daughter being hungry and living in cars and having nothing but stale crackers for dinner. It has a kitchen, Michael said gently, and anything you want to eat. Even ice cream? Especially ice cream. As they drove through the city, Sarah tried to make sense of what had happened to her life in the past 2 hours. This morning, she'd been Sarah Mitchell, single mom working at a hotel concierge desk, worried about making ends meet but basically stable. Now she was Sarah Mitchell, unemployed woman running from killers with a billionaire who might or might not be telling her the truth. "Sarah," Michael said quietly, so Lily wouldn't hear. "I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest." "Okay. Do you have anywhere else you could go? Family, friends, somewhere out of state?" Sarah thought about her sister in California who hadn't spoken to her since their mother's funeral. About her ex-husband who'd disappeared when Lily was 6 months old and never paid child support. About the friends she'd lost touch with because she was always working or taking care of Lily and never had time for adult relationships. "No," she said quietly. "It's just me and Lily." "No one who'd miss you if you disappeared for a while?" The question hit harder than it should have. "You mean besides my landlord when the rent's late?" Michael was quiet for a moment. "Sarah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sound like what? Like I'm pathetic? Like I don't have a life worth missing? Like you're alone. Nobody should be that alone. Well, welcome to single motherhood on minimum wage. You learn to get used to being alone." Lily piped up from the back seat. "Mama's not alone. She has me." "You're right, baby. Mama has you, and that's all she needs." But as they drove toward whatever Michael had planned for them, Sarah realized that wasn't completely true anymore. For the first time in years, she wasn't handling a crisis by herself. For the first time since Lily was born, there was someone else in the car who seemed to care whether they made it through the day. It was terrifying and comforting at the same time. "Michael," she said as they pulled into the parking garage of a building that looked like it cost more than her entire apartment complex. "Yeah. Earlier, when you said those men were trying to kill you because of trafficking in your company." "Yeah. How do I know you're telling me the truth? How do I know you're not the bad guy pretending to be the good guy?" Michael turned off the car and looked at her. Really looked at her. "You don't," he said simply. "You don't know anything about me except that I got beat up in a hotel lobby and you helped me. For all you know, I deserved what happened to me. So why should I trust you? Because right now, I'm the only person standing between you and Lily and some very dangerous people. And because what? Because in the last 2 hours, you've shown me more courage than I've seen in my entire life. You lost your job protecting someone you didn't know. You're risking everything to keep your daughter safe. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let anything happen to either of you." Sarah looked at this man who could probably buy her entire world without thinking twice about it. This man who was asking her to trust him with her daughter's life. "Okay," she said. "Okay what?" "Okay, I'll trust you. But Michael?" "Yeah. If you're lying to me, if you hurt my daughter in any way, I will find a way to destroy you. I don't care how much money you have." Michael smiled, and it was the first real smile she'd seen from him. "Sarah Mitchell, I think you're going to be just fine. Sometimes the people who have the least are the ones with the most courage. Have you ever had to trust someone completely when you had no other choice? Share in the comments about taking leaps of faith with strangers who might change your life." Michael's apartment wasn't what Sarah expected. She'd pictured some cold penthouse with white furniture you were afraid to touch and art that cost more than houses. Instead, it felt like a home. Comfortable couches, books everywhere, photos of what looked like family vacations. The kind of place where you could put your feet up and not worry about breaking something priceless. "This is your house?" Sarah asked as they walked through the door. "One of my places. This is where I come when I want to feel normal." Lily was already exploring, running her hands along the soft couch cushions. "Mama, look, they have a TV bigger than our whole living room." "Lily, don't touch anything." "She can touch whatever she wants," Michael said. That's what it's all for. But Sarah was too on edge to relax. Every sound from the hallway made her jump. Every car door slamming outside made her think someone was coming for them. Sarah, you need to eat something. Michael appeared with a sandwich and a glass of milk. You haven't eaten since this morning. How do you know when I last ate? Because when you're stressed, you forget to take care of yourself. I do the same thing. She looked at him, this man who seemed to know things about her that she hadn't told him. What else do you think you know about me? I know you're scared but trying not to show it because you don't want Lily to worry. I know you're proud and you hate feeling like you need help. And I know you're probably wondering if trusting me was the biggest mistake of your life. He wasn't wrong about any of it. Sarah's phone buzzed. Text message from a number she didn't recognize. We know where you are. Give us what he promised you, and the girl stays safe. Sarah's hands started shaking so bad she almost dropped the phone. Michael. Her voice came out as a whisper. Look at this. He read the message and his face went pale. How did they get your number? I don't know. Michael, what do they mean, what you promised me? You didn't promise me anything. They think I gave you something. Information, evidence, something that could hurt them. What kind of information? Michael started pacing. Sarah, there's something I haven't told you. Something about why those men really wanted to kill me. What? Before he could answer, Lily came running into the living room, tears streaming down her face. Mama, there's a man outside taking pictures through the window. He was looking right at me. Michael was moving before Sarah could even process what Lily had said. He grabbed his phone and hit a number, talking in a voice she'd never heard before. Cold and dangerous. We have a problem. East side of the building. How many? He listened for a moment. 3 cars. Roger that. Lock it down now. He hung up and turned to Sarah. We need to leave. Leave? We just got here. They found us faster than I expected. My security team will handle this, but I need to get you and Lily somewhere else. Sarah looked out the window and saw men in dark clothes moving around the building. The same kind of men who'd been attacking Michael at the hotel. How many people want you dead? She asked. More than I thought. Lily was crying now, scared by the tension in the room. Sarah picked her up, trying to stay calm. It's okay, baby. We're just going for another car ride. I don't want to go on car rides anymore, Mama. I want to go home. I know, sweetheart. Soon. But Sarah was starting to wonder if they'd ever be able to go home. If there would even be a home to go back to. Michael's phone rang. Yeah? What do you mean they're gone? His face got darker. All of them? That's not possible. He hung up and looked at Sarah with something that might have been panic. Michael, what is it? The men outside. They just left. All at once. No one told them to leave, they just got back in their cars and drove away. That's good, right? No. That's very bad. Why? Because it means they weren't here to hurt us. They were here to confirm we're here. Now they're going to do something else. Sarah's phone rang. The display just said, police. She looked at Michael, who was shaking his head, but she answered anyway. Hello. Sarah Mitchell? This is Detective Lisa Rodriguez. I'm calling about an incident at the Grand Plaza Hotel this afternoon. Relief flooded through her. The police. Real police. Yes, I was there. I helped a man who was being attacked. Ms. Mitchell, I need you to listen to me very carefully. The man you helped isn't who you think he is. The relief turned to ice in her veins. What do you mean? Michael Thompson is wanted in connection with money laundering, human trafficking, and the murder of 2 federal agents. The men at the hotel weren't attacking him, they were trying to arrest him. Sarah looked at Michael, who was watching her with growing alarm. That's not true. He told me his company was being used for trafficking, but he was trying to stop it. Ms. Mitchell, Thompson has been feeding you lies. He's the head of the criminal organization we've been investigating for months. You're wrong. I wish I was. Ms. Mitchell, where are you right now? Sarah's mind was racing. Could this be true? Could the man she trusted with her daughter's life actually be a criminal? I need to think about this. There's no time to think. Thompson is dangerous, and your daughter is in immediate danger. I'm sending units to pick you up right now. How do you know where we are? Ms. Mitchell, we've been tracking Thompson's movements. You need to get away from him immediately and wait for our officers. The line went dead. Sarah stared at her phone, feeling everything she thought she knew crumbling again. Sarah, Michael said quietly. What did they tell you? They said you're the criminal. They said you're wanted for trafficking and murder. And what do you think? Sarah looked at this man who'd brought them to safety, who'd promised to protect them, who'd looked at her daughter with genuine kindness. Then she looked at Lily, who was watching both of them with worried eyes. I think, Sarah said slowly, that someone's lying to me. And I need to figure out who. How do you want to do that? Before Sarah could answer, they heard footsteps in the hallway outside. Heavy footsteps. Multiple people. Sarah, Michael said urgently, we need to decide right now. Do you trust me, or do you trust them? I don't know who to trust. Then trust your instincts. What does your gut tell you? Sarah closed her eyes and thought about the afternoon. The way Michael had looked when those men were hitting him. The way he'd protected her when she helped him. The way he'd talked to Lily like she mattered. And then she thought about the voice on the phone, asking her location, sending people to pick her up. My gut says that if you were really a criminal, you wouldn't have let me call the police just now. And that real police don't usually know exactly where suspects are hiding unless they're already watching them. The footsteps were getting closer. Michael, if I'm wrong about this, if I'm trusting the wrong person, then we'll figure it out together. But Sarah, we need to go. Now. As they headed for the back exit of the building, Lily in Sarah's arms and Michael leading the way, Sarah realized she was about to find out if her instincts about people were as good as she hoped they were. Because if she was wrong, she just put her daughter's life in the hands of a murderer. Have you ever had to choose between trusting your instincts and trusting authority? Sometimes the hardest decisions are the ones you have to make without enough information. Share in the comments about a time when you had to trust your gut over what people were telling you. The safe house Michael took them to wasn't actually a house. It was a cabin about an hour outside the city, hidden in the woods like something from a fairy tale. Lily thought it was the coolest thing ever. Look, Mama, there's a fireplace. And a loft bed. Can I sleep in the loft? We'll see, baby. Sarah was too wound up to think about sleeping arrangements. Every shadow outside the windows looked like someone watching them. Michael was on his phone, talking in low voices to people Sarah couldn't see. Security team, he'd said. People who worked for him. People who were supposed to keep them safe. But Sarah was starting to wonder who she could really trust. Sarah. Michael appeared beside her with a cup of coffee. You look like you haven't slept in days. I haven't. Not really. Not since. She gestured vaguely at everything. This. The detective who called you earlier. What exactly did she say about me? Sarah tried to remember the conversation clearly. It all felt like a blur now. She said you were wanted for trafficking. That the men at the hotel were trying to arrest you, not hurt you. And you believed her? I didn't know what to believe. I still don't. Michael sat down across from her at the small kitchen table. Sarah, I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you from the beginning. The way he said it made her stomach drop. What? I'm not just a CEO trying to clean up his company. I'm working undercover with the FBI to expose the trafficking network. Sarah stared at him. You're what? I've been working with federal agents for 6 months. The attack at the hotel, the phone call you got from the fake detective, all of it is part of their attempt to stop the investigation. So you're like a spy? More like a very wealthy informant with a lot of access to financial records. Lily came running into the kitchen, having explored every corner of the cabin. Mama, there's no TV here. What are we going to do? We're going to have an adventure without TV, Sarah said, trying to keep her voice normal. Maybe we can play games or tell stories. Michael, do you know any good stories? Michael looked at Sarah, then back at Lily. I know a few. But first, are you hungry? I think there might be some mac and cheese in the kitchen. The good kind? Not the weird healthy kind. The brightest orange kind you've ever seen. As Michael made dinner and Lily chatted about everything she discovered in the cabin, Sarah tried to process what he'd told her. If he was telling the truth, then he wasn't the criminal. The people chasing them were the criminals, and the fake police call had been meant to separate her from the one person who could protect them. If he was lying, then she just brought her daughter to a remote cabin with a man who trafficked children. Her phone buzzed. Another unknown number. Don't answer it, Michael said quickly. But Sarah was tired of not knowing what was going on. She answered. Hello. Sarah Mitchell? This is Agent Jennifer Hayes with the FBI. Real FBI this time. How do I know you're real? Because I'm about to tell you something only the real FBI would know. Michael Thompson has been working with us for 6 months as an undercover asset. The people who called you earlier were criminals impersonating law enforcement. Sarah felt some of the tension leave her shoulders. So he's really one of the good guys? He's really one of the good guys. But Sarah, you're both in serious danger. The trafficking network knows he's been feeding us information, and they know you can identify the men who tried to kill him. What do we do? Stay where you are. We have agents en route to your location. Don't trust anyone else who calls you, and don't leave the cabin until we arrive. Sarah hung up and looked at Michael, who was stirring mac and cheese and making silly faces at Lily. That was the real FBI, she said. What did they tell you? That you're working with them. That we should stay here until they arrive. Michael nodded. Agent Hayes. She's been my contact throughout this whole thing. For the first time since the hotel lobby, Sarah felt like she could breathe normally. So we're safe. We're safer. But Sarah, there's something else you need to know. What now? The reason they want me dead isn't just because I'm helping the FBI. It's because I have evidence that could bring down some very powerful people. What kind of people? Politicians. Judges. People who have been taking money to look the other way while children disappear. Sarah felt sick. How high does this go? High enough that when the story breaks, it's going to change everything. Lily appeared at Sarah's elbow. Mama, the mac and cheese is ready. And Michael says we can build a fort after dinner. A fort sounds perfect, baby. But as they sat around the small table eating dinner by lamplight, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the worst was still coming. Outside, the woods were getting darker. Inside, Lily was chattering about the fort they were going to build and whether they could make s'mores in the fireplace. And somewhere in the distance, Sarah could hear cars coming up the mountain road. Michael, she said quietly, are you expecting anyone? He listened for a moment, then his face went pale. No. We need to get out of here. Now. What? But the FBI said to stay here. The FBI doesn't drive 3 cars with their lights off. Sarah looked out the window and saw headlights coming through the trees. No sirens, no identification, just cars full of people who probably weren't there to rescue them. Lily, baby, we need to play a new game. What kind of game? A hiding game. We're going to go out the back door very quietly and hide in the woods until the game is over. Is it like hide and seek? Exactly like hide and seek. As they slipped out the back door of the cabin and into the dark woods, Lily holding tight to Sarah's hand and Michael leading the way with a flashlight, Sarah realized that trusting him might have been the right choice. But it might not be enough to keep them alive. Sometimes the people trying to save you and the people trying to hurt you can sound exactly the same on the phone. Have you ever been in a situation where you couldn't tell who was really trying to help? Share in the comments about learning to trust your instincts when everyone seems to be lying. The woods were darker than Sarah had ever imagined woods could be. Every step on fallen leaves sounded like an explosion. Every branch that brushed against them felt like hands reaching out to grab them. Lily was being so brave, walking between Sarah and Michael without complaining, even though Sarah could feel her little hand shaking. How much further? Sarah whispered. There's an old ranger station about half a mile through the trees, Michael whispered back. It has a radio. We can call for help. Behind them, they could hear voices at the cabin. Men shouting orders, car doors slamming, the sound of the front door being kicked in. Mama, Lily whispered, I'm scared. I know, baby. But we're going to be okay. Sarah hoped she was telling the truth. They'd been walking for maybe 20 minutes when Michael suddenly stopped. What is it? Sarah asked. Listen. Sarah listened. At first she didn't hear anything except normal forest sounds. Then she heard it. Dogs barking. Getting closer. They brought tracking dogs, Michael said grimly. What does that mean? It means they're not just looking for us randomly. They're following our scent. Sarah felt panic rising in her chest. So they'll find us no matter where we hide? Not necessarily. If we can get to water, it'll throw off the scent trail. What kind of water? There's a stream that runs behind the ranger station. But Sarah, we need to move faster. I can't walk faster, Lily said, her voice small and tired. My legs hurt. Michael knelt down in front of her. Lily, how would you like to ride on my shoulders? Like a princess on a horse. Really? Really? But you have to hold on tight and be very quiet, okay? Okay. As Michael lifted Lily onto his shoulders, Sarah realized something that made her heart skip. This man who was supposedly worth billions of dollars was carrying her daughter through dark woods to keep her safe. He wasn't complaining about his expensive clothes getting dirty or his shoes getting muddy. He was just doing whatever it took to protect them. That's when she really knew, that she'd made the right choice in trusting him. They made it to the stream just as the dog barking got loud enough to sound close. Michael waded in first, then helped Sarah and Lily across the cold water. The ranger station is just up that hill, he said, pointing through the trees. But when they got to the ranger station, it was dark. Empty. The door was locked and the windows were boarded up. It's abandoned, Sarah said. The radio might still work. Michael tried the door. But he picked up a rock and broke the window. Is that legal? Right now I don't really care about legal. Inside, the station was dusty and old, but the radio equipment looked like it might still work. Michael started fiddling with dials and switches while Sarah and Lily huddled together on an old couch. Mayday, Mayday, this is Michael Thompson. I'm at the old ranger station on Forest Road 47. I have 2 civilians with me, including a child. We need immediate assistance. Static. Then a voice. Michael Thompson? This is Agent Jennifer Hayes. We've been looking for you. Are you safe? Relief flooded through Sarah. The real FBI. We're safe for now, but they're tracking us with dogs. How far out are you? About 10 minutes by helicopter. Can you hold your position? We'll try. Michael hung up the radio and looked at Sarah. 10 minutes. We just need to stay hidden for 10 minutes. But as he said it, they heard something that made Sarah's blood freeze. Footsteps outside the ranger station. They're in there, a voice said. I can see the broken window. Michael motioned for Sarah and Lily to get behind the old desk. He grabbed what looked like a ranger's rifle from a gun rack on the wall. Sarah, he whispered, no matter what happens, you keep Lily quiet and you stay hidden. What are you going to do? Whatever I have to do. The door to the ranger station exploded inward. 3 men in tactical gear came through, guns drawn. Michael Thompson, one of them called. We know you're in here. Come out with your hands up. Michael stepped out from behind a filing cabinet, the rifle in his hands. I don't think so, he said. You're outnumbered, Thompson. And we have orders to bring you in dead or alive. Who's giving those orders? People who are tired of you sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. That's when Sarah heard something that changed everything. The sound of helicopter blades. Sounds like your 10 minutes are up, Michael said. The men in tactical gear looked at each other, realizing they were about to be outnumbered themselves. "This isn't over, Thompson," one of them said. "Yeah, it is." The helicopter landed outside the ranger station, and suddenly the small building was full of people in FBI jackets. Real FBI, with badges and identification and everything. Agent Jennifer Hayes was a woman in her 40s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. "Mr. Thompson, are you and your companions injured?" "Okay." "Shaken up, but okay." "And you must be Sarah Mitchell." She knelt down so she was eye level with Lily. "And this must be Lily. Are you a real police officer?" Lily asked. "I'm FBI, which is like police but for really big cases." "Are the bad people gone now?" "The bad people are gone now." But as they walked toward the helicopter, Agent Hayes pulled Sarah aside. "Ms. Mitchell, I need to tell you something about why you and your daughter were targeted." "What do you mean?" "This wasn't random. They didn't go after you just because you helped Michael." Sarah felt cold dread in her stomach. "Then why?" "Because 6 months ago, you witnessed something at the hotel where you worked. Something you probably didn't even realize was important at the time." Sarah tried to think. "I don't remember seeing anything unusual." "Room 1247. You were cleaning the hallway outside. Do you remember hearing voices from that room?" Suddenly, Sarah did remember. Loud voices, angry voices, the kind of argument that made you hurry past and try not to listen. "That meeting was between a federal judge and the head of the trafficking network," Agent Hayes explained. "You're the only person who can place them together." "But I didn't see anything. I just heard voices." "You heard enough. And Sarah, that judge has been making decisions that kept trafficked children from being returned to their families. Your testimony could put him in prison for life." Sarah looked at Lily, who was chattering with one of the FBI agents about the helicopter. "So none of this was really about Michael. It was about me. It was about both of you." "But Sarah, the danger isn't over. That judge has a lot of powerful friends, and they're not going to give up easily." "What does that mean for us?" "It means we need to talk about witness protection." Sarah felt the world tilt around her. Witness protection. New identities. Leaving everything behind. For how long? Until we can put all these people in prison. Could be months. Could be years. Sarah looked at Michael, who was helping Lily into the helicopter. This man she'd started to care about. This man who'd risked everything to keep them safe. If she went into witness protection, she'd never see him again. But if she didn't, Lily might not live to see her 5th birthday. Sometimes saving someone's life means losing the life you thought you were going to have. Have you ever had to choose between safety and everything you cared about? Share in the comments about making impossible choices to protect the people you love. The FBI safe house looked like every other house on the street, which Sarah guessed was the point. But inside, it felt like a prison with nicer furniture. "This is temporary," Agent Hayes had said 3 days ago. "Just until we can arrange your new identities and relocation." 3 days of sitting in a house with bulletproof windows and agents watching them around the clock. 3 days of Lily asking when they could go home and Sarah not having an answer. 3 days without seeing Michael. "Mama, I'm bored," Lily said from her spot on the living room floor, surrounded by coloring books the FBI had brought her. "Can we call Michael? I want to tell him about the picture I drew of him." "We can't call Michael, baby." "Why not?" "Because he's being kept in a different safe house," Sarah thought. "Because the FBI doesn't want witnesses talking to each other before the trial. Because they're afraid we might change our stories or something. Because he's busy right now," Sarah said instead. "Busy doing what?" "Grown-up things." Lily gave her that look that meant she knew Sarah was dodging the question, but she went back to her coloring. Sarah walked to the kitchen, where Agent Martinez was reading files at the table. "Any word on when we can move to the next phase?" Sarah asked. "Still working on it. These things take time." "What kind of time? Days? Weeks? Could be months." "Months." Sarah felt like the walls were closing in on her. "Agent Martinez, can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Michael Thompson. Is he okay? Is he safe? Agent Martinez looked up from her files. He's fine. Why? Because Lily asks about him every day, and I don't know what to tell her. Tell her he's helping us catch the bad guys. She's 4. She doesn't understand why helping catch bad guys means we can't see him. Agent Martinez closed her file. Ms. Mitchell, I need to be straight with you about something. Sarah's stomach dropped. What? Once you go into witness protection, once you get new identities and relocate, you won't be able to contact Michael Thompson again. Ever. What do you mean ever? I mean your old life ends. Sarah Mitchell and Lily Mitchell disappear. You become new people with new names in a new place. And everyone you knew before, including Michael, stays in the old life. Sarah sat down hard on one of the kitchen chairs. But what about after the trial? After these people are in prison? Even after the trial. Miss Mitchell, these are powerful people with long memories. Even if we convict them, they have friends, family, associates who might want revenge. The only way to keep you and Lily truly safe is to make sure you can never be found. So I never see him again. You never see him again. Sarah looked toward the living room, where Lily was humming while she colored, completely unaware that the man she'd started calling her friend Michael was about to disappear from her life forever. Does he know? He knows. What did he say? Agent Martinez was quiet for a moment. He said if that's what it takes to keep you and Lily safe, then that's what he wants. Sarah felt tears burning behind her eyes. Of course he'd said that. Of course he'd put their safety ahead of everything else, including his own feelings. Agent Martinez, what if I said no? What if I said I don't want witness protection? Then you'd be dead within a week, and so would your daughter. You're sure about that? These people have killed federal judges, Ms. Mitchell. They've killed children. You think they'd hesitate to kill a hotel concierge and her 4-year-old? Sarah knew she was right. But knowing didn't make it easier. That night, after Lily had gone to bed, Sarah sat in the dark living room staring out the bulletproof windows at the street where normal people lived normal lives. Her phone buzzed. For a split second, she hoped it might be Michael, but it was Agent Hayes. Sarah? I need to tell you about a development in the case. What kind of development? We had a security breach. Someone accessed our files about your location. Sarah's blood went cold. What does that mean? It means they might know where you are. We're moving you tonight. Moving us where? Somewhere else. Pack whatever you need for Lily. We leave in 20 minutes. As Sarah woke up Lily and threw their few belongings into a bag, she realized this was what the rest of their lives would look like. Running from place to place, never staying anywhere long enough to feel safe, never knowing when the next phone call would mean they had to disappear again. Mama, where are we going now? Lily asked sleepily as Sarah carried her to the car. Another adventure, baby. Will Michael be there? Sarah felt her heart break a little more. No, sweetheart. Michael won't be there. When will we see him again? I don't know, baby. Maybe not for a very long time. Lily was quiet for a moment. Then, did we do something wrong? Is that why Michael doesn't want to see us anymore? Oh, Lily. No, baby. We didn't do anything wrong. And Michael does want to see us. But sometimes grown-ups have to make hard choices to keep the people they love safe. Even if it makes everyone sad? Even if it makes everyone sad. As they drove through the dark streets toward another safe house in another city, Sarah realized that saving Michael's life had cost her everything she'd never known she wanted. She'd never get to see if what was growing between them could have become something real. She'd never get to find out if Lily could have had a father figure who actually loved her. She'd never get to be part of something bigger than just surviving from day to day. Instead, she'd spend the rest of her life looking over her shoulder, teaching Lily to never trust anyone completely, and wondering what would have happened if she just minded her own business in that hotel lobby. But as she looked at her daughter sleeping in the car seat beside her, she realized she'd make the same choice again. Because keeping Lily safe was worth any sacrifice. Even if it meant sacrificing love. Sometimes doing the right thing costs us everything we didn't know we wanted. Have you ever had to give up something important to protect someone you loved? Share in the comments about the hardest sacrifices and whether they were worth it. The new safe house was worse than the first one. Smaller, darker, and it smelled like someone had been smoking in it for about 20 years. Lily hated it immediately. "This place is yucky, Mama," she said, wrinkling her nose as Agent Martinez carried in their bags. "It's just temporary, baby. You keep saying things are temporary, but they keep happening anyway." 4 years old, and already too smart for her own good. Sarah was unpacking Lily's clothes when Agent Hayes knocked on the bedroom door. "Sarah? We need to talk." They sat in the tiny kitchen while Lily watched cartoons on an old TV in the living room. "There's been a change in the case," Agent Hayes said. "What kind of change?" "Michael Thompson escaped from protective custody this morning." Sarah's heart stopped. "What do you mean escaped?" "I mean he overpowered 2 agents and disappeared. We don't know where he is." "Is he okay? Was he hurt?" "We don't know." "Sarah, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest. Has Michael tried to contact you?" "No. How could he? I don't even have my old phone anymore." "There are ways. And if he does contact you, you need to tell us immediately." "But what aren't you telling me?" Agent Hayes was quiet for a moment. "There's a possibility that Michael Thompson isn't who we thought he was." Sarah felt the room spin. "What does that mean?" "It means we're not sure he's actually working with us. It means he might have been playing a longer game than we realized." "That's impossible. I saw those men trying to kill him." "Did you? Or did you see what looked like men trying to kill him?" Sarah stared at Agent Hayes, trying to process what she was saying. "You think the attack at the hotel was fake?" "We think it's possible. Sarah, we've been digging deeper into Michael Thompson's background, and there are some things that don't add up." "What kind of things?" "Financial records that suggest he's been moving money in ways that look a lot like money laundering. Meetings with people we know are involved in trafficking. Phone calls to numbers that trace back to the same organization we're trying to bring down." Sarah felt sick. "So you think he's one of them?" "We think it's possible he's been using you to get information about our investigation. That the whole thing was set up to get close to you because you're our star witness." "But what about the men chasing us? The attacks? Could have been theater. A way to make you trust him completely." Sarah looked toward the living room, where Lily was laughing at something on TV. Sweet, innocent Lily who had talked about Michael like he was a hero. "Agent Hayes, if that's true, if he really is one of the bad guys, then why did he let me go into protective custody? Why didn't he just kill me when he had the chance?" "Maybe because killing you would have been too obvious. Maybe because he thought he could get more information by keeping you alive and grateful. Or maybe because you're wrong about him." "Sarah, I hope I'm wrong. But I need you to be prepared for the possibility that the man you trusted with your daughter's life is actually the person who's been trying to destroy yours." That afternoon, while Lily napped on the uncomfortable couch, Sarah sat by the window trying to make sense of everything. Was Michael really a criminal? Had she been that wrong about him? She thought about the way he'd looked at Lily, the gentleness in his voice when he talked to her, the way he'd carried her through the dark woods on his shoulders. Could someone fake that kind of kindness? Her phone rang. New phone, new number that only the FBI was supposed to know. But the caller ID just said, unknown. She almost didn't answer. Then she thought about what Agent Hayes had said about Michael trying to contact her. "Hello? Sarah? Thank God." Michael's voice. She'd know it anywhere. "Michael? Where are you?" "The FBI said you escaped." "I didn't escape, Sarah. I ran. There's something they're not telling you." "What?" "The FBI agents you're working with. They're not real FBI." Sarah felt the world tilt. "What do you mean?" "I mean the trafficking network has people everywhere, including people who can fake badges and credentials and safe houses." That's impossible. I've seen their identification. Sarah, listen to me. The real FBI has been trying to contact you for days. The people you're with are the same people who tried to kill us at the cabin. Sarah looked around the dingy safe house, at Agent Martinez reading files in the kitchen, at Agent Hayes making phone calls in the next room. Michael, that's crazy. Why would they protect me if they wanted to hurt me? Because they need your testimony to convict an innocent man. Sarah, the judge you supposedly overheard meeting with traffickers? He's been investigating the real traffickers. They want to frame him and get him out of the way. Sarah's head was spinning. How do I know you're telling the truth? How do I know you're not the one who's lying? Because if I was one of them, Lily would already be dead. The simple truth of that hit her like a punch. Sarah, I need you to listen very carefully. In about 10 minutes, those agents are going to tell you that I've been found and killed. They're going to say you're safe now. And then they're going to ask you to sign a statement about what you overheard at the hotel. What kind of statement? One that will send an innocent man to prison and let the real criminals go free. Michael, I don't know what to believe anymore. Then believe this. I love you. And I love Lily. And I would rather die than let anything happen to either of you. The line went dead. Sarah sat staring at her phone, her heart pounding. Agent Hayes walked into the living room. Sarah? We just got word about Michael Thompson. What about him? He's been found. He's dead, Sarah. You're safe now. Just like Michael had predicted. How did he die? Shot while trying to evade capture. I'm sorry, Sarah. I know you cared about him. Sarah looked at Agent Hayes, really looked at her. The woman seemed genuinely sympathetic, genuinely concerned. But so had Michael when he was supposedly lying to her. Agent Hayes, I need to ask you something. Of course. Can I see your badge again? Agent Hayes looked surprised. My badge? Why? Because I want to make sure I'm talking to the right people. Agent Hayes pulled out her badge, and Sarah studied it carefully. It looked real. Everything about it looked real. But then again, Michael had said these people were good at faking things. Sarah, we need you to sign a statement about what you heard at the hotel. Now that Michael's gone, it's more important than ever that we get your testimony on record. Can I read the statement first? Of course. Agent Hayes handed her a document. Sarah read it carefully. It described the conversation she'd overheard as a meeting between Judge Harrison and Vincent Torres, where the judge took money in exchange for keeping trafficked children from being reunited with their families. But as Sarah read it, she realized something that made her blood run cold. The conversation she'd actually overheard had been about stopping trafficking, not enabling it. Judge Harrison had been telling Torres that he wouldn't cooperate, that he was going to expose the whole operation. The statement was asking her to lie, which meant Michael had been telling the truth. And she was trapped in a house with the people who wanted to kill her daughter. Have you ever realized that the people you trusted were actually your enemies? Sometimes the scariest moment is when you discover that everything you believed was a lie. Share in the comments about times when you had to figure out who was really trying to help you. Sarah stared at the fake statement in her hands, her mind racing. She had maybe 30 seconds before Agent Hayes expected an answer. 30 seconds to figure out how to get herself and Lily out of this house alive. This looks fine, Sarah said, trying to keep her voice steady. But can I use the bathroom first? And maybe get Lily a snack? She gets cranky when she's hungry. Of course, Agent Hayes said. Take your time. Sarah walked calmly to the living room where Lily was still watching cartoons. Lily, baby, we need to play a new game. What kind of game? A very quiet game where we sneak out the back door and run to the car. Lily looked at her with those smart 4-year-old eyes. Are we running from the bad people again? We're running from the bad people again. I thought Agent Hayes was a good person. So did I, sweetheart. But sometimes people pretend to be good when they're really bad. Like when I pretend to be asleep so I don't have to brush my teeth? Kind of like that, but much more serious. Sarah picked up Lily and walked toward the back door, trying to look casual. Agent Martinez was still in the kitchen with his back to them, reading files. They made it to the back door without being seen. But when Sarah tried to turn the handle, it was locked. And the key wasn't anywhere she could see it. "Sarah?" Agent Hayes called from the living room. "Everything okay?" "Fine," Sarah called back. "Just getting Lily some crackers." "Think," Sarah told herself. "There has to be another way out." The bathroom window. It was small, but maybe big enough for her and Lily to squeeze through. "Lily, we're going to climb out a window. Like we're escaping from a castle." "Cool." The bathroom window was painted shut. Sarah used a nail file from her purse to scrape at the paint, trying to work quickly and quietly. "Sarah?" Agent Hayes's voice was closer now. "What's taking so long?" "Lily spilled something," Sarah called. "Just cleaning it up." The window finally budged. Sarah pushed it open and looked out. It was a 6-foot drop to the ground, but there were bushes below. "Okay, baby, I'm going to lower you down to the bushes, and then I'm going to jump down after you." "What if I get hurt?" "I won't let you get hurt. I promise." Sarah lowered Lily out the window, her arms straining to get her as close to the ground as possible before letting go. Lily landed in the bushes with a small oof, but popped up immediately, grinning. That was fun. Sarah squeezed through the window and dropped down beside her daughter just as she heard Agent Hayes pounding on the bathroom door. "Sarah, open this door right now." They ran. Sarah had no idea where they were going, but they ran through backyards and down alleys, Lily keeping up better than Sarah had hoped. Behind them, she could hear car engines starting, voices shouting orders. They were being chased. Sarah's phone rang. Michael again. "Sarah, where are you?" "Running through some neighborhood. The fake FBI agents figured out that I figured out they were fake." "Okay, I can track your phone. Keep moving north. There's a shopping mall about half a mile from where you are. Get to the food court and stay around people." "Michael, how do I know you're really you? How do I know this isn't another trick?" "Because when Lily was drawing that picture of me at the cabin, she drew me with purple hair because she said it would make me look more fun. And because you told me about the time you lived in your car, and you were embarrassed, but I thought you were the bravest person I'd ever met. Only the real Michael would know those things." "I'm coming to get you," he said. "Just stay safe until I get there." The mall was crowded with families doing Saturday shopping. Sarah found the food court and sat at a table where she could see all the entrances, Lily beside her eating French fries like nothing unusual was happening. "Mama, is Michael really coming?" "I think so, baby. But I missed him." "I missed him too." 20 minutes later, Sarah saw him, walking through the crowd like he belonged there, but his eyes scanning constantly, looking for threats. When he saw them, his whole face changed. Relief and something that looked like love. "Lily," he called. "Michael." Lily jumped up and ran to him, and he scooped her up like she was the most precious thing in the world. "I thought I was never going to see you again," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Mama said you were busy with grown-up things, but I knew you'd come back." Michael looked at Sarah over Lily's head. "Are you okay?" "Okay. But Michael, what happens now? If those people aren't really FBI, then who are the real FBI? How do we know who to trust?" "We don't trust anyone except each other," Michael said. "Sarah, I've been working with a reporter. Someone who's been investigating this trafficking network for years. She has contacts with real law enforcement, people who can actually help us." "A reporter?" "Her name is Jennifer Walsh. She works for the Washington Post. She's been building a case against these people for 2 years, but she needed witnesses. And now she has us. Now she has us." As they walked out of the mall together, Lily holding both their hands, Sarah realized something that should have scared her but didn't. She was about to become part of the biggest news story of the year. She was about to testify against people who had killed federal agents and trafficked children. She was about to put her and Lily's lives on the line for the truth. But for the first time since this whole thing started, she wasn't scared. Because she wasn't doing it alone. She was doing it with Michael, and together they were stronger than any lie the bad guys could tell. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is trust the right person when everyone else is lying to you. Have you ever had to choose between what felt safe and what felt right? Share in the comments about finding courage when everything seems impossible. 1 year later, Sarah woke up to the smell of pancakes and the sound of Lily giggling in the kitchen. Saturday mornings had become her favorite part of the week, not because she didn't have to work anymore, but because she got to wake up in a house that actually felt like home. "Mama!" Lily called from downstairs. "Michael's making funny faces with the pancakes." "They're not funny faces," Michael called back. "They're artistic expressions. They look like monsters." Sarah smiled as she got dressed. Some things never changed. Michael could run a billion-dollar company and testify before Congress, but he still couldn't make normal-looking pancakes. She found them in the kitchen of their new house, both covered in flour, laughing at what looked like breakfast disasters scattered across every surface. "How did you get batter on the ceiling?" Sarah asked. "That's classified information," Michael said, kissing her cheek. "Lily did it," Lily announced. "I was trying to make the pancakes fluffy like clouds." "And how did that work out?" "The kitchen got fluffy instead." Sarah looked around at their beautiful mess of a kitchen and felt that familiar warm feeling in her chest. This was what love looked like. Not perfect moments, but perfectly imperfect ones where your family made chaos and laughed about it together. The past year had been crazy. The Washington Post story had broken everything wide open. Judge Harrison was cleared of all charges and went back to fighting trafficking cases. The fake FBI agents were sentenced to life in prison. The real trafficking network was shut down, and dozens of children were reunited with their families. Sarah had testified in front of Congress about corruption in law enforcement. She'd been on the cover of 3 magazines as the woman who brought down a criminal empire. She'd written a book about the experience that was being made into a movie. But the best part wasn't the fame or the money or even the justice. The best part was this: Saturday morning pancakes with the 2 people who mattered most. "Sarah," Michael said, pulling an envelope from behind the coffee maker. "This came yesterday." Inside was a letter from the FBI, the real FBI this time, thanking her for her service and letting her know that the last of the trafficking network had been arrested. "It's over," she said. "It's over." Lily looked up from her pancake monster. "Does this mean we don't have to move anymore?" "We're not moving anywhere," Sarah said. "This is home now. Good. I like this house. And I like Michael being here every day." Michael knelt down so he was eye level with Lily. "Speaking of me being here every day, I have something I want to ask you." "What?" "I want to ask your mama to marry me. But only if you think it's a good idea." Lily's eyes went wide. "Really? You want to marry Mama?" "I want to marry Mama and be your daddy forever. What do you think?" "I think that's the best idea ever." Michael pulled out a ring box and looked at Sarah. "So what do you say, Sarah Mitchell? Will you marry a guy who can't make pancakes and sometimes gets death threats from criminals?" Sarah looked at this man who'd risked everything to keep them safe. This man who read Lily bedtime stories and helped with homework and treated her daughter like she was the most important person in the world. This man who'd taught her that love wasn't about finding someone perfect, but about finding someone who was perfect for you. "Only if you promise to keep making terrible pancakes," she said. "Deal." As Michael slipped the ring onto her finger and Lily cheered and threw more flour in the air, Sarah realized something that filled her with perfect happiness. A year ago, she'd been a single mom working at a hotel, worried about making rent and keeping Lily safe. Now she was engaged to her best friend, living in a house they'd bought together, with enough money to never worry about bills again and enough security to know they were safe. But more than that, she'd learned something important about herself. She wasn't just someone who survived whatever life threw at her. She was someone who fought back. Someone who stood up for what was right, even when it was dangerous. Someone who could protect not just her own daughter, but other people's children too. "Mama," Lily said, "can we have a big wedding with a cake and dancing?" "We can have whatever kind of wedding you want, baby." "And can I be the flower girl?" "You can be the most important flower girl ever." That afternoon, they drove to the cemetery where Sarah's parents were buried. It had become a tradition, bringing flowers and telling them about their week. Lily ran ahead to put daisies on the headstones while Michael and Sarah walked behind her, hand in hand. "Do you think they would have liked him?" Sarah asked. It was a question she'd asked herself 100 times. "They would have loved him," Michael said, "and they would have been so proud of the woman you've become." "What do you mean?" "I mean, a year ago, you were just trying to survive. Now you're changing the world. Do you know how many kids are safe because of what you did?" Sarah watched Lily arranging flowers with the serious concentration she brought to everything important. "I didn't do anything special. I just helped someone who needed help." That's exactly what made it special. That evening, after Lily was asleep, Sarah and Michael sat on their back porch looking at the stars. "Michael." "Yeah. Are you ever scared?" "About the future, I mean? About what happens if more bad people come after us?" "Sometimes. But then I remember that we survived the worst thing we could imagine. And we did it together." "What if something happens to you? What if I lose you?" "You're not going to lose me. But even if something did happen, you'd be okay. You and Lily. You're stronger than you know." Sarah leaned back against his chest, feeling the warmth of his arms around her. "I love you," she said. "I love you too. Both of you. Even when we make your life complicated and dangerous? Especially then." As they sat there in the comfortable darkness, Sarah thought about how different her life was from what she'd ever imagined it could be. She'd gone from being nobody special to being someone whose story inspired other people to be brave. She'd gone from worrying about keeping Lily fed to helping dozens of families rebuild their lives after being rescued from trafficking. She'd gone from being alone to being part of something bigger than herself. But the most amazing part wasn't the money or the recognition or even the justice. The most amazing part was that she'd found love in the most unexpected place. Love that started with one act of kindness and grew into a family that chose each other every single day. "Sarah?" Michael said softly. "What?" "Thank you." "For what?" "For being brave enough to help a stranger. For trusting me when you had no reason to. For showing me what it means to have a family worth fighting for." Sarah turned in his arms so she could see his face. "Thank you for letting me save you. It was the best mistake I ever made." It wasn't a mistake. It was exactly what was supposed to happen. As they headed inside to check on Lily and get ready for bed, Sarah realized that Michael was right. Everything that had happened, the danger, the fear, the running, the fighting, it had all led to this moment. This house. This family. This life where Saturday morning meant pancake disasters and bedtime stories and someone who loved them both more than his own safety. Sometimes the best things in life start with the scariest moments. Sometimes helping someone else is really helping yourself. And sometimes, when you're brave enough to do the right thing, the universe gives you everything you never knew you wanted. Love isn't about finding someone perfect, it's about finding someone who's perfect for your chaos. Have you ever discovered that the scariest decision you made turned out to be the best one? Share in the comments about taking chances that changed everything.
Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as you can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.